Hello folks, today we're going to be taking a look at Steamforged Games' epic encounter for the Hive of the Ghoul-kin. It is 5e compatible, everything you need to create an epic encounter for your role-playing game. On the back, this box contains 15 miniatures including 5 unique sculpts, adventure book, monster stats, double-sided game mat, tips and tricks for building tension and excitement. So, beneath your feet an infection brews, a plague that threatens the eternal sleep of every corpse on the continent. A plague that creeps from the abyss, craving human flesh. Graves are emptied into the night, crypts and catacombs are tunneled into, and once places of rest are now banquets of bodies for those who feast on the dead. Even steel caskets of the rich, whose desperate for undisturbed slumber are no obstacle to razor-sharp claws and insatiable appetites, and some say the living are next. Delightful. So everything is in here to run a game, or run a scenario, based around the Hive of Ghoul-kin. So I love the artwork for whatever that is. So we have our mat, some advertising for the Shrine of the Kobold Queen. Dogs or lizards? Lizards. The Lair of the Red Dragon, Caverns of the Frost Giant, and the Hall of the Orc King. Any of those take your fancy. We have a little A5 book. I'll look at it in a moment. And we have a tray full of miniatures. Look very, very nice indeed. So, we'll start with our mat. Double-sided, it tells me. On one side, a large oval arena, which is 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14 at its deepest point, and 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, and 20 inches at its widest. It's also a very nice matte finish on it. And it's a good quality paper. It's not thin, cheap, shiny. This side is a 15 by 24, 2, 4, 6, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. Wasn't a bad guess. Piles of decomposing bodies packed up into the corners. Some nice detail with the lamps shining out their holy light. Yeah, nice quality. The Hive of the Ghoul-kin then. So we've got the Ghoul-kin broodsire, which is fell on the front. 2 Ghoul-kin hive wardens on corpse chures. 2 stalkers, 8 reavers, and 2 Ghoul-kin bulwarks. So that's our miniatures. The book itself, I won't skip all the way through this because people will pause and ruin the adventure. But it gives you a bit of patter about what ghouls are, what they do, the various types, before getting into the actual adventure itself and the locations. The book is 35 pages. Oh, cover that up. But it gives everything in there. There's our map full size, or at least the laboratory. I won't go too much into that because it will ruin the fun for people who may be playing this. Okay, so we'll have a look at the Ghoul-kin Reaver first. They all come with this sort of olive drab plastic cast. Bit of ripped up floor or descended cavern, bit of a crypt, whatever. Huge maggoty monster on the ground. Head's been glued on separately, but the body itself is one piece. So if that's our seam line, where do we go? One round the front. Surely must go up and over the body somewhere. And if it doesn't, that is genius. No, it does. There's our seam line right along the arm there. So I have to say that's an incredibly good cast. That you're not seeing a big mould line on it. I approve. It is on a, what's that, 25? Yeah, 25mm round base. And the Ghoul-kin itself stands about 30mm to eye level. So you get 8 of those, carrying a skull of somebody to snack on later. Obviously, painting them up, they'd look much better, but if you're just playing them out of the box, I quite like the fact they're two-tone, the black bases. We have the Ghoul-kin Stalker. Now this is a whole other level of madness. So what happens when you cross a ghoul with a bat with a horse and then set it off down a hall on people? You get one of these. Again, seam line runs around the limbs, but again, the casting quality is very good. So I am seeing the seam on the floor more than on the model, of which I appreciate the care they've taken. It's an unusual looking thing. Split jaw, so it can consume bigger things, and that split jaw runs all the way under its belly. So that's not right. You can't tell me that's right. I know that's not right. This is on, where are you, 50mm? 50mm base. And it is about 40mm tall, and as you can see it just overlaps the base, so its stride is 60mm, if that's important to you when it comes herring down the corridor. It's just such a weird looking thing. I love it. Never been chased by a bat horse ghoul before. First time for everything. We have one more walker. Another 50mm monster. The Ghoul-kin Bulwark. Multi-limbed, ape-looking fellow with, again, this strange sort of bat limbering going on. Slight bit of flashing there. They'll need to be trimmed off. And slightly more noticeable seam. But again, not massively an issue. Oh, there's a spine and head melting in or creeping out of this absolute abomination. Big creepy clawed hands as well. It is PVC plastic type, so very robust, as you can see with me doing that. If I'd done that on plastic, you'd be looking for it. If I'd done it on hips, it wouldn't be bending back as easily. It is about 38mm to eye level, and at its tallest point it sits around 65mm. just under. But yeah, brutal deluxe, I think is the phrase. Then we have the Hive Warden on Ghoul-kin. It's like a baby purple worm. Bit of bend in that spear. Hot water should correct that. So you should be able to get it to be a bit more straight. Though, I don't think the front is going to straighten out particularly easily. Lovely texture on the saddle and what could be an armor plate protecting its vulnerables. Clawed or boned collar on it. Again, fiendish looking thing. 50mm base once more. The worm doesn't have eyes, but if it did, they'd be around about 28mm. So it's a 28mm worm. The fellow on the back sits around 60mm, and its tallest point will be the tip of that spear, which is 75mm off the base. No, 70mm off the base. Read the ruler. Again, nice, robust, chunky piece of kit. Nice level of detail on the ghoul. And for a pre-assembled model, I have to say the build quality and the casting quality is excellent. More pieces, more components on this one than on any of the previous, so you can keep your eye out for mold lines and joins. But overall, excellent. I particularly like these little grub-like things. Being a fan of tremors, I quite like the scuttling idea of it. Finally, we have our Ghoul-kin Broodsire. Let's try saying that 3 times fast. He fills all of his 50mm base. And again, some sort of unusual maggot-like things. Or maybe it's its babies. And then this strange crypty floor, a mix of dirt and slabs. Huge brittle cleaver in one hand. Sorry, huge brittle cleaver instead of a hand. And what looks like a brazier that's been fashioned into a spike on the other. So a torch has gone away and that's been fashioned on a rudimentary lathe, perhaps. Again, we have more of these maggot creatures swarming over him. Another brazier or basket for a foot. And another poor unfortunate being subsumed into the mass. And he's sticking his tongue out, which is just terrible. Absolutely terrible. Like the detail on him. It's an interesting effect overall. It's part ghoul, part crypt itself. The model is, what are you, 58mm to eye level, and just over that for tallest point, so about 64mm tall. But it is a brutal piece of kit that fills that whole 50mm. To say these are an exquisite set of, I suppose, board game pieces more than anything else. They've got a very good level of quality and an excellent level of manufacture. So there you have it. Big box, stuffed filled with everything you need if you want to play your games of Dungeons and Dragons with miniatures. If you're a budding GM, it's a great way of just getting a scenario onto the table. Everything you need is in there to lead your players into oblivion in the Hive of the Ghoul-kin. Let me know what you think below of the epic encounters, if you've played them or if you're thinking about getting into them. There'll be more on these very soon. Bye-bye.
Go ahead and check out our other content on screen now. And while you're at it, why not hit subscribe and remember to ding our dong. Go on, you know you want to click it. Go on.